Today on 5 Minutes, I am interviewing Dr. Alex Cochran, a microbiologist at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, and today we're going to be talking about the bacterium Bacillus anthracis, which causes the disease anthrax. Alex, where did this bacteria originate? What's so significant about its place of origin?
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me on today's 5 Minutes. Bacillus anthracis is a rod-shaped bacterium that is gram-positive and spore-forming. This bacteria is often found in soil over many continents around the world, but it originated in the Mesopotamia area back in 1491 BC. From what we have and from detailed evidence shows, this disease occurred in around 1613 around Europe, and was a huge threat to cattle and livestock.
So, due to the various dates, it wasn't really significant that it originated in Mesopotamia.
Exactly.
Alex, what does this simple organism infect? Humans, plants, animals? What does it infect?
Well, Bacillus anthracis is found all over the world. Really, when you break it down, it can be depicted as a cycle. You see, it contaminates the ground when an infected animal dies. The bacterium can spread through insects that are flying around, stinging the animals, taking their blood, etc. Really, what it all comes down to is that you find a spore that gets itself in the soil, and it can live under harsh conditions for a long, long time. So it's really easy for it to come back up at random times and get maybe another animal or a human, etc.
So what part of the body does Bacillus anthracis infect?
Well, see, it's interesting that you say that, because there are actually 3 types of contamination that go along with Bacillus anthracis. From what science knows today are cutaneous, pulmonary, and gastrointestinal anthrax. Cutaneous occurs through contact with the skin and is about 95% of all anthrax infections. Pulmonary occurs through inhalation of the bacteria, and it forms in the lungs. It's really deadly. Finally, you have gastrointestinal anthrax, which occurs through the consumption of Bacillus anthracis in meats or drinks, from contaminated water or soil.
How long will it be in the body before any symptoms are visible? Any really fatal symptoms are visible?
Well, really, this is dependent on the type you find yourself infected with. Pulmonary anthrax usually begins showing symptoms in about 7 to 10 days, although sometimes, in very, very rare instances, it can be spotted in about 2 to 3 days. For some people, though, it can take as long as 2 months to surface. So,
is the infection contagious? Can it be passed on from human to human, animal to animal?
No, it's not contagious at all. Really, it can only occur from contact with infected animals or their products as a result of, say, a bioterrorism act.
Is it lethal? Will those infected die, or is there a cure for it?
Well, really, all types of infections can have, a sort of a lethal factor to them. For example, gastrointestinal anthrax results in death about 25 to 60% of the time. So, it varies depending on the sort of infection that you have. Cutaneous infections result 20%. And lastly, pulmonary infections, which are usually very fatal.
How is it treated? Can there be a cure to...
Oftentimes, cures are a little hard to come by, but through the modern, antibiotic, it's really helped.
Like penicillin?
Exactly. Like penicillin, ciprofloxacin, doxycycline helps to contain the spread of the bacteria. However, in modern times, because of the usage of antibiotics, how people have been taking them over the last 50 years, the effect of them has really sort of diminished.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's hard to tell based on, how the person is, what kind of strain they have.
Yeah.
But in the end, curing it is just a matter of letting modern medicine work.
About how many individuals in the United States are affected, and what about globally?
Well, in the United States, about fewer than 20 people become sick. When we really look at the demographics, in modern times, because, increased sanitation, more like civil living, nicer areas, the disease can't find a way to spread as easily, say back in Europe during the 1600s. So, yeah, not many people are being affected, but unfortunately, in places, all across the world still, there's still a lot of problems with sanitation and, protecting people, giving them antibiotics. So really throughout the world, it's hard to tell without a solid, I guess, census of how the bacteria infects people. So for now, it's hard to tell. As antibiotics have increased, I would definitely say that all of this has just drastically changed.
And finally, should we be concerned about this disease? Is there a current local or global concern?
Not so much.
I also read somewhere that it has been practically eradicated in the United States.
Just about, yes.
How is this affecting developing countries?
In developing countries, it's hard to say because there are, different stages at which development can affect how the people live and how the people can be affected and treated.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
This has been Dr. Alex Cochran, a microbiologist at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Have a nice day, and to all of you, stay tuned for next week's episode. Goodbye.